Hello and welcome to the podcast by the Literature Times. Today we are joined by Aryahi Srivastava, ma'am, for her latest release on Anger of a Man, Insanity of a Woman. Hello and welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here on this platform so that I'm able to talk more about my book and the academic work in which I have been engaged, which mainly is concerned about the confluence of law and emotion, which is quite abnormal to see these days, especially, and also in the usual legal discourse. So, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk more about the work and about my research.
So, ma'am, we just wanted to know a bit more about you.
All right, so I don't need to introduce myself with my name, as you have already told the same. I am an advocate. I pursued my LLB degree from the esteemed Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. Then I pursued my master's in law from the Indian Law Institute, which is a deemed university situated opposite the Honorable Supreme Court. Since then, I have been working and researching on various topics centering on the feminine issues and the rights of women and children. I had also topped a diploma course from the Harvard University, which was centrally based on the premise of the protection of child rights. Uh, this work of myself is a result of how the emotion of anger is dedicated to a particular gender and how the other gender is not allowed to even have access or to express the same. So this was something which was quite intriguing, and especially the defense of provocation, which we have dealt with extensively in this work. It is primarily centered on the premise of the law of emotion. And to my dismay and to our dismay collectively as a feminine community, uh, I'm sorry to say, but the discourse of the judgments and the courts do not offer the privilege of, you know, a bargained sentence in favor of women when they are angry. So yes, that was my inspiration while I was undergoing my LLM program, which provoked me, I would say, provoked me to research more on this topic. And as I researched, it became my forte, fortunately. So I have worked extensively on gender studies. My second work, academic work, is in the pipeline, and soon it will be released by the month of February or March, or maybe if it extends, it may be delayed to the month of April. And that work is premised on the jurisprudence of sexual offenses. And I mean, how nuances in the jurisprudence of sexual offenses is negated. Not only by the common civilians and the just legal justice administration machineries, but also the esteemed judicial system of this country. Then I had a very good experience, or I should say, uh, जिसको ये कह सकते हैं that na bhuto na bhavishyati. Like this experience was
Yeah.
something which I hadn't experienced till date. When I got an opportunity to teach at this esteemed campus law center, I mean, that was my alma mater. And I had the opportunity to go back and give it back to the institute, the parent institute, which gave me the basic understanding and knowledge of the law. So I had taught there for around 2 years, and then I left that institute for my personal reasons. And now, currently, I am in association with a premier institute, which is known as the Rahul's IAS. It is a premier coaching institute which gives uh, legal education, I would say, the legal knowledge. It expands the canvas of legal understanding amongst the judicial services aspirants as well as the individuals who want to have a better understanding of law. So I'm working here right now as a content writer, as well as I will be offered some other responsibilities as and when the institute requires so. So yes, this was my short introduction of myself. I haven't introduced my works as of now. I've written like 5 to 6 research papers, which have gained recognition across national as well as international journals. All of them have been primarily based on the criminal law, as I hold a specialization in criminal law and psychoanalysis. Um, One of my papers, Unwarranted Exploitation and Over Harmonization of Constitutional Morality and Social Morality, has received or has bagged the title of Paper of Eminence in the international conference, which was held last year in RGNUL Patiala. And that paper was premised basically on the consensual sexual activities between the adolescents and how our law witnesses it as an offense. So, where there is consent, the law recognizes it as an offense because of the age. And where there is unconsensual sexual intercourse, which is the marital rape, the discourse of marital rape, there the law, because of the age, considers it, primarily consensual, just because there is a tag of marriage between adults. So, yes, this was my short introduction.
Definitely, ma'am. And the name of the book strikes already, but I want to know that what made you keep the name as such, Anger of a Man, Insanity of a Woman?
Actually, I would give the credit of the title of this book to my nephew. So he suggested me this title, and while he was going through this book, he was quite fascinated as well as astonished at the same time that how the courts who portray themselves to be the institutions of justice, rationality, and no biasness, especially the social biasness or cultural biasness, which is present and prevalent in the society. It associates this emotion of anger with a particular gender. And when you come across multiple discourse, the judicial discourse, in which a man has been given a benefit of the defense of provocation, I mean, by granting him a bargain sentence, okay, and when a woman is appearing with the same emotion, uh, law gets confused. I mean, the law gets confused with such kind of woman who is angry. It either calls that woman a mad woman, sad. Perhaps she was not feeling well, or she was depressed, or maybe she was PMSing, the stereotypical
Yeah,
argument which all the people give, right? Or either she was, mad. She's insane.
yeah,
Because it is so unusual to find an emotion of anger within a feminine body. So is it that unusual that you portray woman to be an epitome, or, the representative of all the positive or all the, soft emotions like kindness, empathy, love, affection, care, everything that is positive, everything that makes her a devi, makes her a goddess
yeah,
is acceptable, refusing her to take up a human identity, a personal identity, that okay, she can also be angry, she can be violent. We do not give her that liberty if that particular person is in a feminine body. And unfortunately, this discourse has been reiterated time and again, affirmed by the various verdicts of the Honorable High Courts and the Supreme Court. Even the landmark judgment of Kiranjit Ahluwalia, in which the House of Lords was deciding the case, even that judgment refused to give the privilege to a feminine body to have that emotion of anger. They called her that she was suffering from depression, and hence she was not of sound mind while she was killing her own husband. Okay, so she was not allowed to be angry. A woman is not allowed to be angry. So this thought itself is quite disturbing in nature, and that was the main reason why this title just struck my nephew, and he suggested that why not to, and that symbol that has been used in that title, that is a symbol, it's a
yeah,
mathematical symbol of similarity. Okay. So it
Similarity.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
so it is like anger of a man is similar to insanity of a woman. So, you know,
Into of a
what is
woman.
normal for one gender is considered
It's
abnormal for the other.
another.
So, yeah, that was the whole lot reasoning behind this, attractive title, an eye-catching title.
Definitely, ma'am. It was really fascinating for me as well to read about the book. Like, okay, it's actually true and it is in between us and we don't really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And and ma'am, why do you choose anger as a central emotion for the book?
Yeah, see, because it is the central emotion of the book, because I have talked about one exception to the most heinous offense which is present or which has been carefully legislated in the scheme of our criminal law, which is the offense of murder. Okay, so the offense of murder, one of the exceptions to the liability for the offense of murder is the defense of provocation. And it is the very first exception to the to the offense of murder, right? So, and now if you go through this provision of the defense of provocation, this defense itself is premised or it is situated on the foundation of an emotion. That emotion is an emotion of anger. Okay. Now, when we talk about this emotion of anger, that when you talk about the person who gives that grave and sudden provocation to an individual, and if under the impulse or if undergoing that particular provocation, which causes him to be so angry, so as to deprive him out of his self-control, he kills the person who gives provocation or any other person accidentally who has not given the provocation. Okay, who are
Yeah.
these actors, first of all? Who are these actors who gave the provocation, who acted on that provocation? Most of the times, the person who is acting on that provocation, who is so angry, deprived of his self control, is a man.
Yeah.
So the problem is that when you talk about all of the, yes, the person who is giving the provocation may be a woman, and it is such a poor state of our mind that if a woman catches hold of her Mangal Sutra or Thali, okay, and she takes it away and throws on the face of the husband, that was considered to be a reasonable provocation by the courts. So much so that the court
Okay.
allowed this provocation, the defense of provocation, to be given to that accused husband. That okay, belonging to the social structure of the society, Mangal Sutra is so much sacrosanct that even if she was so angry, she was so hassled with all the life she was undergoing with her husband that she chooses to snatch away that Mangal Sutra and throw it on the face of the husband. That was considered to be a reasonable explanation for the defense of provocation. So, this emotion of anger and this defense of provocation, both of them are interrelated. You can't call the law only a premise of rationality. कह ही नहीं सकते हैं. Law and rationality are interconnected, but how can you take away the emotion? Because we all are emotional sexual beings. You can't take away the actors who are present or who are being governed by the law of the country are humans, and humans are with emotions. So, yes, I was researching, I was working on the defense of provocation when I found that the main emotion of this defense of provocation is anger. There is another emotion which is also important, which is the emotion of fear, about which this book doesn't talk. And we were planning to launch, a second book in this chronology. But that would be a topic for some other day. So, yes, this was the main reason why I chose the emotion of anger. And also, one of the main reason was that I saw that how choosing of this emotion discriminates with the women actors, that women who choose to express their anger are not getting sufficient coverage under this defense. Reason? The two words, the word play, grave and
Okay.
sudden. Okay, generally women are not sudden in their expression of anger. because they are not,
Definitely.
yeah, they are not built like that. It's not that they
Yeah,
cannot express like that, right? It is like they take some time. It is like more of a sustained provocation when it comes to women. And sustained provocation
yeah.
has been recognized by the verdicts of the court, but not expressly by the, the wordings, the terms, the terminology which has been used in that section. So yes, these are certain things which made me curious and, uh, reflect on this fact that how discriminatory and problematic it is. So yes, this was my inspiration.
Definitely, ma'am. That's quite interesting to know about. And can you explain how psychoanalysis helps in understanding judicial attitudes?
Yes, why not? See, psychoanalysis, what is first of all psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis is actually a method, it's a methodology to read between the lines, okay? To understand law, you first have to understand the unconscious of the law. What is present between the subterranean layers of those provisions. Okay, so the problem is that we take it as a book, we take it as a normal discipline. That okay, this is the law, these are the provisions, you have to apply it onto the society, you have to apply it onto the subjects, because we are all are the subjects of law. We are the citizens of the country, but we are the subjects of the law,
For
right?
law.
So the
Okay.
problem is that when you talk about psychoanalysis, psychoanalysis helps you to understand what is behind the curtain. What are those driving forces? What are those factors which enable a particular person to act in a particular manner? Because law is also the result of the acts of certain individuals. How are the laws legislated? They are legislated by us, like normal human beings like you and me. Right. So
Yeah.
what is working behind their brains? What is working in the unconscious of those individuals? And कौन से वो sources हैं from which they have taken the inspiration to ultimately formulate such laws. So psychoanalysis helps you in understanding the law better by looking onto its roots, by looking onto the inspiration, the inspiring sources of that particular law, and it overall helps you to have a better understanding of law so that you are able to act legally in a proper manner, not only in the letter but also in the spirit, and also to give better judgments. Because if you have better understanding of the law, you will definitely have a better understanding of what justice should look like. Right. So this is why
Yeah.
psychoanalysis is important, to understand the soul of law, the spirit of law.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, how does the legal system differently interpret anger in men and women? Like,
So it's a very nice question. I should say it's one of my favorite topics to debate and discuss upon. The problem is that first of all, when a man is angry, okay, you take example of any random individual. Okay, whenever a man is angry, he's considered to be normal. When a man is angry, anger is considered to be a normal emotion in a man. Okay?
okay,
Men do get angry. It's their privilege to be angry, right? If you are a man, you automatically have that privilege to be angry. Okay? You don't have to face the judgments of the society for expression of your anger. Okay? Even if you kill a person, okay? Even if you kill a person,
okay,
you have that thing, the okay, oh my God, I was so much provoked. So who was at fault? The person who provoked me,
okay.
what was at fault? Okay.
Does the law like they show it in that way still till date?
I mean, the discourses are like that. The discourses are
Okay,
like that. That when you talk about the legal discourses, when you read the judgments, that discrimination is still there. Okay. However, there are wonderful reforms which are being brought by honorable, for example, in the case of Manju Lakra, in which I have discussed in greatest of the details in my book. Or ऐसा नहीं है that I only want to, I just want to lash out on onto the courts and the
Mhm.
system and the socio-cultural structure. But for example, like Manju Lakra, they have discussed
Mhm.
the concept of sustained provocation so elaborately and beautifully, understanding not only the anatomy of a woman's brain mindset, but also the socio-cultural setup which has made a woman like that while she is acting angrily. Right. So, yes, the discourses are discriminative in nature. And when you talk about the emotions now, they are heavily gendered. Because emotions come from where? Emotions come from the socio-cultural setup. Okay.
Yeah,
And that
definitely.
socio-cultural setup assigns emotions. Yes, it is actually the assignment of emotions, which is done to gendered human beings. And I would call it gendered human beings because we all are driven by our genders, right? Also, how much soever we talk about unisex things, but we are driven by our genders. So, and anger, coming back to your question, emotion of anger comes naturally in a man. Okay. And it is accepted and received by the society with all pride and honor. You know, anger is a common emotion when a man's pride is violated. We love to see angry men. Come on, we love to see angry men. Look on to your cinema, okay? The full of masculinity is expressed while a person is angry. The person is going to protect the
Yeah.
honor of a woman, honor of a woman, okay? So, why honor of a woman? Because, the pride of a man rests in the honor of a woman, right? So, why have you reposed your honor in the body of some other person? Not letting that other person live peacefully as she wants to, right?
Definitely.
But you come across to this emotion of anger vis-a-vis the women. Women are not that privileged. I mean, forget about those privileged women.
Yeah.
And while I used to teach at CLC, while I used to teach at CLC, students used to say that, ma'am, we are so empowered now. We have teachers like you. Okay, you're so revolutionary. You're so rebellious in your attitude. You write such articles, and you're so privileged and educated. To which I thanked them, and by while thanking the Almighty, that I was privileged enough to be born in a family in which I could afford such privileges. You know, even the basic traits of humanity are luxuries. Okay, for a woman, to be angry is a luxury. To express your anger is a further privilege. I would say this. So, if you have a
Yeah.
family which accepts you as a human being, not as a devi, that does
Mhm.
not worship you, that accepts you with all your follies, you are a privileged woman. And I belong to that society of privileged women. So if a person says that women are all the time angry, they are angry because they are receiving injustice every day. You talk about any woman. I mean, I don't need to express this idea more with you because you yourself, being a woman, you understand what all injustices we face every day. And forget about us. Talk about an ordinary woman belonging to a village. She's so underprivileged.
Absolutely.
Okay, she's
Yeah.
so underprivileged. Can she be rebellious? Can she afford to be rebellious? You talk about
No,
movements, you talk about feminism. Can she afford to be
yeah,
a feminist?
absolutely.
No, you
She
can't.
absolutely cannot because they aren't brought up that way. Like they are,
Yes,
we can say, trained in the such a way that no, you have to be under men till before marriage. Your father is above you, and after marriage, you have a husband. And for your elderly age, you have a son for yourself. So, like they are
exactly.
trained in such a way that you
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
stay with them.
exactly. It has been so much engraved, and I would say they have internalized their secondary nature. They being secondary in their own life. It is
Yeah.
so normal for them. I have also added a line. If you go through my book and you read it, line by line, you'll find one place. I borrowed it from my maid. She was a victim of domestic violence. And when we used to ask her, why do you still stay with that man who harasses you every day and night? He used to lash out on her left, right, and center. Still, she chooses to be with that man. Why? To which she answered, and that answer was like a slap to the civilization in which we are dwelling right now. And that answer was, एक आदमी की चप्पल घर के बाहर बहुत मायने रखती है. ठीक है? She said that it is better to have an abusive man over your head than to be a widow. Are you
Then
able
a
to
widow.
understand this mindset? Right. So, how can you even ask that? You say that women are angry. No, women are not. Women are not. Women are not allowed to be angry. Okay.
Yeah,
If there is a conflict between a husband and wife, all the time you go to family courts. Okay. The first, issue would be कि मैडम आप तो समझिए.
yeah,
मैडम आप तो
absolutely. The
समझिए.
statements comes.
आपका घर है. आप तो समझिए. So
Yeah,
now, how can you not say that the emotion of anger is not gendered? That is why it is so difficult for a man to accept an angry woman, an aggressive woman. They are ready to accept an aggressive man, calling him the real man. But when a woman is angry,
yeah,
she's called bossy. Okay, that is why a woman
definitely.
superior is not considered to be an ideal choice for men to work under.
Definitely, definitely.
Their fragility, the fragility of their male ego sparks and they speak up. So that is the main issue. And that is why this emotion of anger has fascinated me so much so that I could not stop myself from writing it into an academic writing. So that was the whole lot reason why I wrote this.
Definitely, ma'am. And ma'am, do you think law can ever be truly emotion neutral?
Law or any discipline that deals with humans, it can never be neutral. And I would say it ought not to be emotion neutral. Because when you
Yeah,
see an emotion and a human being separated as separate entities, you are doing the injustice from the very inception. Why is it so difficult for a person to accept that the person is emotional? That emotion can be anything. That emotion can be of love, it can be of affection, that can be of motherhood, that can be of fatherhood, or even the negative emotions of lust, jealousy, anger, if it is a negative emotion.
yeah,
Let's see emotions as emotions. They are the driving force. Let's accept it. Why do you think that we have motive as a relevant fact in the criminal proceedings, right? So
yeah.
motive is an essential, relevant fact, I would say, which contributes to the establishment of guilt of the accused person. Why did he commit that offense? What was the driving force behind formation of the intention or the relevant fault element which caused him to commit that offense? We have Section 8 of the Indian Evidence Act. We have Section 6 of the BSA, Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam. Right? Why are they talking like that? Emotion makes motive. Right.
Uh,
If
yeah,
let's if I help you explain it with the elaborately more with an example, we have that classic Bollywood example of two men are behind one girl, okay, and that one heroine, that one actress, the female. I'm sorry to use this word, but I do not have a better choice of word here. Female protagonist, okay, and she is in love
yeah.
with, let's say, A, right?
Hmm.
And B is
Yeah.
envious. Not envious, he is rather jealous. Okay.
Jealous.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and he cooks himself within in that jealousy. And one day he chooses to, uh, smash off, or I should say, remove that obstacle of his own best friend from the path so that he could have that female protagonist in his favor for a matrimonial alliance or
Yeah.
for any sort of romantic alliance, right? What is the emotion? What is the motive? What is the motive? The
Absolutely
motive
emotion.
is,
Emotion.
yes, the motive is actually to be with that female protagonist, to have that girl, that to have that woman in his life as a romantic partner. Okay, that was the motive. And what
Yeah.
this motive was driven by an emotion. So would it be so much a rocket science to understand and explain that emotions are behind motives and motives are behind
No,
intentions and intentions are behind the commission of an offense? So how can you actually bifurcate and separate this lethal amalgamation of emotions and law and legal provisions and the offenses which are being committed every day? You take an example of rape, which is being committed in this country for every day. We live in a country, we live
yeah,
in a place, and I'm sorry to say I belong to this country, I love this country. Still, I'm so sorry to state that this is the most unsafe country for women to dwell and live, right? What is
absolutely. Yeah,
behind rape? Behind rape is the start is to assert one's authority. Okay. And what is that
absolutely.
assertion?
Yeah,
Yeah, that assertion is coming from an emotion. So you cannot bifurcate these two. Law can never be a domain devoid of emotion, and it ought not to be a domain devoid of emotion, because then you will be on a track which would be leading to injustice from the very inception.
definitely, ma'am. And ma'am, what is that one message you want readers to take away from the book?
All right, so you can take as many messages you want to take from the book. The book is yours. I have written that book. Okay, you read that book. All I want to say is that please, 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 when you talk about equality, uh, think about gendered equality.
Yeah,
Okay, because equality is not like giving equal amount number of apples to equal individuals. No, equality is treating like in like manner, unlike in unlike manner. You cannot compare or you cannot equate a man with a woman. You cannot. Okay.
definitely.
Yes, we can facilitate our women with better opportunities. We can facilitate our women with better education avenues. We can empower them by providing them with best of the infrastructure facilities, especially making them feel safe. That is the foremost thing. At least we can ask for this basic right, which is inherently present in the fundamental right of Article 21, which guarantees us with right to life and personal liberty, right? And that right to life and
Yeah,
personal liberty is living with dignity. And if you are feeling unsafe all the time, how can you say that you are living with dignity? Right. So all I'm trying to
absolutely.
say is that if you are first of all, everyone should be a feminist. And when I'm talking about feminism, I'm not talking about feminism which on the surface level. That if men
Yeah,
drink,
definitely.
I should also drink. If men abuse,
Mhm.
I should also abuse.
I
If
should
men are
also.
violent, I should also be violent. No. I'm talking about the basic tenets, the freedoms, the liberties which you have given to a man. Give the same to a woman. For example, if smoking a cigarette is just a health issue and not a character
Yeah,
certificate for a man, let it be the same for women as well. I'm not promoting smoking
absolutely.
here. I would say this
No.
that okay.
Yeah,
So what I'm trying to say that do not label a woman with her character certificate for everything she does. Let her be her. Let her be a human being first. And then the second takeaway is that if you want to talk about equality, talk about gendered equality. Because yes,
yes.
these attributes are gendered. And the third thing is that to all the persons who are law persons, I would say, who are either the students or the law legal professionals, please read the law in a manner which helps not only in understanding the word but also the spirit of the law. Because, yes, the interpretation lies with all of us, be it the judges, be it the lawyers, be it the academicians, be it anyone, the practicing advocates. So we ought to read the law with the purposive interpretation ingrained in our head. Okay, so, and this is how you can take away discrimination gradually. The generational development may be seen gradually among the society, in which we are dwelling and living. So yes, these are some
Yeah,
short takeaways for my book. But otherwise, please go and read out the book. Please give me the reviews of the book so that I'm able to understand more of my follies and my, biasness, which people accuse me of towards women.
definitely, ma'am. And thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today for this podcast session. And I'm pleasure to meet such a great personality. And I'm really
Well,
honored
thank you
to
so
have you
much.
here with us.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for giving me this platform to talk more about these ideas. And it was a very pleasant discussion. And, the session was really enriching. And it helped me speak more on the subject matter, and that too quite freely. And thank you so much for giving me ample time space to talk more. Because it is very difficult to speak in a limited time frame, and that too when people are not ready
absolutely.
to listen to the ideas which do not associate with their
With
internalized
them.
personality traits.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so
Okay,
much. We are really great to have you here and have a good day.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Have a very good day. Take care.